Hi y'all, today we are going to continue onward on our Route 66 theme of late because of the 100th anniversary of Route 66, and we are going to paint the Tulsa Golden Driller, which to be honest with you is a little bit outside of the route itself, but from what I understand, lots and lots of people always make it a point to go out of their way to see the Tulsa Golden Driller when they're driving Route 66. So we're going to paint this with regular watercolor, and at the end we're going to add some lovely gold metallic because after all, he is the Golden Driller. So let's do this. Here are the materials for today. You can pause and screenshot that, or they are listed in the description of the video for you. I'm going to start out by using masking fluid to mask off the entire driller because that is very complex to try to paint around for the background. So I am dipping my brush into a mixture of water and dish soap before I dip it into the masking fluid to preserve my brushes just a little bit. While that's drying, I wash my brushes immediately. I'm going to start out with the sky color, and since I'm using my Sennelier paint, I'm going to start with Cinereous Blue, however you say that, and add a little bit of French Vermillion to that to gray down the blue just a tiny little bit. And I'm going to take that color and just apply it directly to the dry paper, go over it once, and then come back in and remix the color because I didn't have quite enough of it mixed, and go right over the top of it, a little bit darker at the top. On top of the masking fluid, there's a lot of pooling paint and water, and I don't want that to run back in and cause blooms, so I'm taking a shop towel and wiping that off very gingerly. I've allowed that to dry, and it looks too flat and kind of boring to me just to have it a plain straight color, so I'm adding in some ultramarine deep, and I'm going to splatter the heck out of this, and then kind of just smear some of that paint around and maybe cause some texture, because I'm just a little bit bored with that plain flat color. So we're kind of going to just make it a little bit expressive, I guess. And to be honest with you, it was a complete spurt of the moment decision and had no intention of doing that beforehand. I was really just going to go realistic with it, but you know, sometimes that happens with me. I get bored with something and I spice it up. And then of course I allow all of that to dry and then use my rubber cement eraser to take all of the masking fluid off. And of course it erased my drawing, so I had to go back in and redraw it as well. But I guess that's the price you pay for masking fluid. For the driller himself, I'm going to use Naples yellow, and I'm going to add a little bit of the ultramarine deep into that to gray it down. And to start out with, I am just going to basically just do a flat wash all over the entire thing, and then I'm going to come back in with a darker color and add some of the shadows while it's still wet. I've added some raw umber into that same mix, and while this is wet, I'm going to come in and do some nice lovely shadows, and this is just going to blend really nicely and smoothly in for now, and we can come back in with some darker shadows for later, but this is basically just kind of blocking in the shadow areas for now. And it's going to run, but it'll be all right. If it spreads too much, I can always come back in and lift some color out. Now that I have all the major soft shadows blocked in there, I'm going to come back in with a damp brush, clean damp brush, and I'm going to lift out a few of the areas where the shadow got a little bit out of control and where I want lighter areas. And this is basically just going to start to sculpt in some of the muscle areas. I've allowed all of that to dry, and I'm going to come back in and add even more raw umber to this, and we're going to start to sculpt some of the darker shadows. And so the technique that I'm going to use for that is that I'm just going to add the shadow in there, and then I'm going to get clean water on my brush and soften the edges. That's basically what I'm doing for this entire sculpting part, is I'm just adding the color, softening the edges, adding the color, softening the edges. And if you wait too long, your edge will set and you will not be able to soften that, or at least not as easily or smoothly. Or it will cause blooms or backruns, which you don't want. I mean, maybe you do, but I don't. So I always make sure and do it as quickly as I lay kind of an area down. When we get to the darker shadow areas right here next to the legs, I am adding a little bit of Payne's Gray into that to darken it. Here I'm just going to continue adding color and then softening the edges, so I think it's a perfect opportunity to go ahead and tell you some fun facts about the Golden Driller here. He stands 76 feet tall and reportedly weighs over 43,000 pounds, which is pretty large, and he stands outside of the Tulsa Expo Center, which is where, basically it's the fairgrounds in Tulsa. He is in fact one of the tallest freestanding statues in the entire US, and he was built as a tribute to Tulsa's petroleum and oil industry. The first version was built in 1953 as a temporary display for the International Petroleum Exposition, but he became so popular they decided to make him permanent. And that's when they reinforced him with a very sturdy steel frame inside, tons of wire mesh, and tons and tons and tons of concrete in order to withstand all of the Oklahoma tornadoes that we're famous for. And one more fun fact that I was completely unaware of until I started researching for this video is that he is actually leaning on a real decommissioned oil derrick. I had no idea that was not just built for him. I've added some Payne's Gray into my mixture here, and we're going to begin to darken in the very darkest parts. The little details like underneath his nose and his mouth and underneath the hat and all of that kind of thing. We're just going to continue to darken all these details up. And here we're just using some pretty much straight Payne's Gray in order to darken in the tiniest little details and do the darkest little minuscule shadows in certain areas. Okay, so I think it still needs to be a little bit darker on the sides here. So I have added a little bit more Payne's Gray into my raw umber mixture, and we're just gonna darken that little guy up. Okay, so as I'm drawing to a close on all these shadows, I'm noticing that he's not really quite golden enough to be the Golden Driller, so I'm going to allow that to dry, and then I'm going to come back in with just straight Naples yellow, a wash of that over the entire top of the whole thing. And that should bring out some more of this gold. For the oil derrick that he's leaning on, we're going to just go with straight, really dark Payne's Gray. And honestly, I didn't get every single strut in the right spot. I don't feel like that's the important part of this, to be honest with you. And wouldn't you know, I got bored again and made a spur of the moment decision to go ahead and splatter a bunch of that black all over the place as well. I mean, anything for a little bit more texture, I think. And to be honest with you, that's when I decided to also get out my metallic gold, just a spur of the moment decision. And this is Fine Tech Olympic Gold, and I'm going to take that and kind of do a little bit of detailing on him, just some random outlining. I don't know why, just for fun really. I've done that on a lot of my paintings over the years, just haven't really done it for this channel very much. So I'm just adding some kind of highlights with this metallic gold, since he is the golden driller after all. And then of course, we also have to add in some random splattering with the gold as well. And with these tiny final details, we're going to be finished with it. But I decided to mount this one on a board and then wax the surface of it. And I'm going to be honest, I totally forgot to get any footage of the finished painting without it waxed. So you get to see it nice and shiny and mounted here, which is just another way that you can display your watercolors rather than having to spend all of the money on a frame with glass and all of that kind of thing. And this is honestly the first time I've ever done that, so it's kind of interesting. A shiny watercolor is a little bit odd though, I'm not gonna lie. I sprayed a satin archival UV varnish over the top of the watercolor before I added the wax, and to be honest, it dulled down the metallic really bad. So I actually ended up going back over the metallic one more time over the top of the varnish before I waxed it. And here's a nice zoom in of the detail for you. And there you have it, a Tulsa icon, which to be honest with you is pretty much the symbol of Tulsa. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share all of that stuff, because that's how this channel gets to grow. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again in 2 weeks.